The internet was designed to be a repository of human knowledge, a digital library that would outlast us all. But in its darkest corners, it has become a graveyard of secrets. We leave digital footprints everywhere we go, trails of data that define who we are. Yet some trails lead nowhere. Some lead to doors that were never meant to be opened, and others lead to questions that no amount of processing power can answer. From indecipherable ciphers that drive entire communities to the brink of madness, to the real-world horrors confessed on anonymous message boards, these are the mysteries that refuse to remain offline. And when we look up from our screens, we find the cosmos is just as quiet and just as terrifying. In 2011, a digital ghost appeared on the social news aggregation site Reddit. A user known simply as A858 began posting long, erratic strings of hexadecimal code. There was no context given, no manifesto, no explanation. Just an endless, torrential stream of data that looked like chaos but felt, to the trained eye, like a pattern. A community of thousands formed almost overnight, dedicated solely to cracking the A858 cipher. They worked tirelessly, running the code through every decryption software known to man, convinced that a grand secret lay hidden beneath the alphanumeric noise. For 4 years, the user remained silent, watching the frenzy from the shadows, offering nothing but more code. Then, in 2015, the silence broke. A858 returned, dropping subtle keys that, when finally decoded, revealed a lonely, grainy image of Stonehenge. It was a baffling climax to a 4-year saga. Was it a test? A recruitment drive for an intelligence agency looking for the world's best cryptographers? Or was it simply an elaborate piece of performance art designed to waste our time? We may never know. In 2016, the digital doors slammed shut. The subreddit went private, locking its secrets away forever. The code remains unbroken, a digital monument as silent and mysterious as the stone circle it depicted. While A858 operated in the shadows, another enigma hid in plain sight, riding the waves of rock and roll history. This is the enduring legend of the Publius Enigma. It began in the mid-90s, the very dawn of the online age. A user named Publius posted a riddle claiming that a profound secret was buried within the artwork and lyrics of Pink Floyd's album, The Division Bell. The promise was simple, yet seductive. Solve the riddle and receive a reward. But as fans and cryptographers tore the album apart, analyzing every pixel of the cover art and every frequency of the tracks, the band remained tight-lipped. They denied involvement, yet the clues were too precise, too synchronized with the album's themes of communication to be a mere hoax. To this day, the reward remains unclaimed. Is the prize money? Is it wisdom? Or is the riddle itself the only thing we were ever meant to find? A lesson in the futility of searching for meaning where none exists. Sometimes, however, the search for answers leads not to a prize, but to the precipice of prison. In 2002, a Scottish systems administrator named Gary McKinnon grew obsessed with a single, burning question. Are we alone? Convinced that the US government was suppressing evidence of extraterrestrial life, McKinnon embarked on what has been described by prosecutors as the biggest military computer hack of all time. From a humble bedroom in London, he tunneled into NASA and Pentagon servers, bypassing security with alarming ease. He didn't find codes or riddles. He claims to have found a photograph, a high-definition image of a cigar-shaped craft hovering in the upper atmosphere, unlike any human technology known to exist. Before he could download the image, his connection was severed. NASA denies the breach revealed anything of substance, but McKinnon's subsequent decade-long legal battle suggests he touched a nerve. Did he hallucinate a UFO, or did he glimpse a truth too dangerous to remain on a server? If McKinnon was looking for truth, the entity known as unfathomable semicircle was generating pure, distilled chaos. In March 2015, a YouTube channel appeared that defies all logical explanation. It uploaded videos at an inhuman rate, thousands of clips featuring nothing but static, abstract pixels and the Sagittarius symbol. But it was the audio that unsettled investigators. Distorted, guttural sounds, a muffled male voice reciting numbers, the sound of heavy breathing. It felt less like art and more like a broadcast from a broken mind, or perhaps a signal being calibrated for something else entirely. When Reddit sleuths began to close in on the channel's origin, analyzing the upload patterns for clues, the upload stopped abruptly. YouTube suspended the account, citing policy violations, effectively burning the Library of Alexandria. Now, only screen recordings remain, fragments of a digital nightmare that came from nowhere and vanished just as quickly. Static is one thing, intent is another. The video known as 11BX1371 is a masterpiece of dread. It features a figure in a plague doctor's mask, standing in a dilapidated asylum, moving with jerky, unnatural twitching. The title was written in binary code. When translated, it read "Death" in Spanish. But the visual horror was just the surface. Embedded within the screeching, headache-inducing audio was a spectrograph image, a hidden picture of a woman being tortured. The internet went into a panic. Was this a confession? A threat? Follow-up messages appeared on 4chan and Reddit, containing coordinates to the White House and phrases like "red lips like 10th." The trail eventually went cold, but the feeling remains. Someone went to great lengths to make the world afraid, and they succeeded without saying a single word. The Plague Doctor video was hosted on the clear web, accessible to anyone with a browser. But beneath the surface lies the deep web, the 80% of the internet that search engines do not see. Most of it is mundane databases, academic records, and financial transactions. But in the encrypted trenches, legends of red rooms persist. These are the urban legends of live-streamed torture, where anonymous bidders pay cryptocurrency to dictate the fate of a victim. While many claim these are myths designed to scam the curious, there are accounts of users stumbling into live streams that felt too real to be staged. A woman tied to a chair, a countdown, a chat room demanding blood. Whether fact or fiction, the mere existence of the market, the demand for such content, proves a terrifying truth about human nature that we prefer to ignore. Then there are the viral curses, the campfire stories of the digital age. The video titled Mariana Mordegard Glezgov is an internet antique, a piece of folklore from the early days of YouTube. It starts simply enough. A man staring into the camera, bathed in a harsh red light. But the legend attached to it is lethal. The story goes that the full 2-minute video contains a psychological trigger so potent that viewers would gouge out their own eyes to stop the visions it induced. It is said that 100 people mailed their eyes to YouTube's headquarters before the video was scrubbed. Of course, it's a fabrication, a ghost story for the broadband era. But looking into that man's unblinking, slightly too wide eyes, you can understand why people wanted to believe it. It taps into our primal fear that there are things we are not meant to see. But some internet horror stories do not have the luxury of being fiction. The anonymity of image boards like 4chan has occasionally been used as a confessional for real-world monsters. There is a disturbing trend of killers returning to the scene of the crime, digitally. In one infamous case, a user posted a photo of a woman's body with the caption, "Turns out it's way harder to strangle someone than it looks in the movies." Users thought it was a hoax, a macabre joke, until the news broke. The victim was real. Her name was Amber Coplin. The killer, David Kalloch, had turned a murder investigation into a thread on an anime message board, seeking validation from an audience of anonymous strangers. In another instance, a user posted coordinates, challenging the board to find a missing person. It was a game to them. To the victim's family, it was a tragedy broadcast for entertainment, and if you want to know where these ideas ferment, you only had to look at a now-defunct site simply titled, "How to Be a Serial Killer." It wasn't a study of criminology or a breakdown of famous cases. It was a manual, detailed methodologies on abduction, disposal, and evasion. It treated murder like a hobby, providing instructions with chilling detachment. Before it was pulled offline, it offered a final message to anyone searching for it. If you are interested in killing someone, why don't you start with yourself? A dark joke, perhaps, but the question remains, who wrote the manual? And how many of its readers took the advice to heart before the server was wiped clean? We look at our screens to find monsters, but sometimes the greatest threats are not digital. They are celestial. We like to think we have the skies mapped, that agencies like NASA are watching our backs. But the universe is vast, and we are incredibly small. On August 16, 2020, an asteroid the size of a car skimmed past Earth, passing just 1/800 miles above the surface. In cosmic terms, that is a hair's breadth. The terrifying part? We didn't see it coming. Astronomers only detected the object, known as 2020 QG, 6 hours after it had already passed us. It was a blind spot asteroid, approaching from the direction of the sun where our telescopes cannot see, blinded by the glare of our own star. It was a warning shot across the bow of our planet, a reminder of our fragility, and what else is hiding in those blind spots. For decades, UFO sightings were the domain of conspiracy theorists and science fiction. Then, in 2017, the narrative shattered. The New York Times broke the story of the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, a secret Pentagon operation with a budget of $22 million dedicated to studying unidentified aerial phenomena. The release included videos filmed by Navy pilots showing craft performing maneuvers that defy the laws of physics. No visible propulsion, instantaneous acceleration. The US government admitted 3 things. The videos are real, the objects are unidentified, and they are not ours. After years of denial, the question shifted from, do they exist, to, what are they waiting for? But while the UFOs watch, another visitor is already on the schedule. Its name is Apophis, named after the Egyptian god of chaos. Discovered in 2004, Apophis was initially given a terrifyingly high probability of impacting Earth. While recent calculations have ruled out a direct hit for its next pass, it remains a potentially hazardous asteroid. On April 13th, 2029, a Friday the 13th no less, Apophis will pass so close to Earth that it will be visible to the naked eye. 2 billion people will be able to look up and see a mountain floating in the sky. It will be a close shave, influenced by the unpredictable nature of gravitational keyholes. NASA says we are safe, but in the game of orbital mechanics, safe is a relative term, and luck eventually runs out. If Earth is the target, then perhaps we need a hiding place. Saturn offers 82 different moons, but only one has captured the obsession of NASA, Titan. Titan is not just a rock, it is a world. It is the only moon in the solar system with a dense atmosphere, and the only object other than Earth known to have clear evidence of stable bodies of surface liquid. But these aren't water. They are lakes of liquid methane. However, deep beneath its thick icy shell, NASA's Cassini spacecraft detected something else, a global ocean of liquid water. In the search for extraterrestrial life, Titan is the prime suspect. It has the chemistry, the energy, and the shelter. If aliens are hiding in our solar system, they aren't on Mars. They are swimming in the dark, subsurface oceans of Titan, waiting for us to crack the ice. But to get to Titan, you have to survive the neighborhood. Saturn's rings are the crown jewel of our solar system, but through a telescope, you miss the violence. These aren't solid bands, they are a debris field of ice and rock, ranging from microscopic grains to floating mountains, all colliding in a chaotic dance. In 2016, the Cassini spacecraft performed a death-defying maneuver, weaving between the planet and its rings. It carried a radio and plasma wave instrument that captured the sound of this region. It doesn't sound like silence. It sounds like a haunting, static scream, a deep space chorus of particles bombarding the hull. It is a reminder that beauty in space is often composed of destruction. Destruction is also the mother of our closest companion. The moon hangs in our sky as a symbol of peace, but its origin story is one of catastrophe. The leading scientific theory, the giant impact hypothesis, suggests the moon was born when a Mars-sized planet, often called Theia, smashed into the young Earth 4.5 billion years ago. The debris from this apocalyptic collision coalesced to form the moon. It stabilizes our planet's wobble and dictates our tides, but it is slowly leaving us. Every year, the moon drifts about 1.5 inches farther away. It is a slow-motion goodbye from the only friend Earth has ever had, eventually destined to leave us alone in the dark. If you go far enough, you reach the point of no return. The heliopause is the theoretical boundary where the sun's influence ends and interstellar space begins. Between 2012 and 2013, The Voyager 1 probe crossed this threshold, becoming the first human-made object to leave the solar system. It sent back data that was translated into audio. The result is a high-pitched, steady drone, the sound of plasma waves vibrating in the interstellar medium. It is the sound of the back door of our solar system. Voyager is now drifting in the void, a silent ambassador carrying a golden record of humanity into a darkness from which it will never return, playing a song to an audience that may not exist. But space has a way of staring back. In 2015, NASA astronomers spotted an object approaching Earth on a disturbing date, October 31st, Halloween. The object, designated 2015 TB145, was likely a dead comet that had shed its volatile materials after numerous passes around the Sun. But it wasn't the timing that unsettled the public, it was the shape. Under radar imaging, the asteroid looked exactly like a human skull rotating in the void. It passed just beyond the Moon's orbit, a cosmic memento mori reminding us that space is a graveyard of dead rocks. Even the planets themselves bear scars. Uranus is the solar system's anomaly. While other planets spin like tops, Uranus rolls on its side with a tilt of 98 degrees. This means that for 42 years at a time, one pole is bathed in constant sunlight, while the other is trapped in a 42-year night. Why? The leading theory is another massive collision, an Earth-sized object that struck the planet with such force, it literally knocked it over. We look at the solar system as a clockwork mechanism, but the evidence suggests it is a crime scene of cosmic hit-and-runs. Collision is one thing, erasure is another. The greatest threat to life on Earth isn't an asteroid, it's a gamma-ray burst. These are the most energetic events in the universe, occurring when a massive star collapses into a black hole or neutron stars collide. They fire focused beams of radiation across the cosmos. If a gamma-ray burst within our galaxy were aimed at Earth, it wouldn't just burn us. It would strip away the ozone layer instantly, leaving all life exposed to lethal solar radiation. It would be a silent, invisible extinction. We wouldn't see it coming until the sky was already burning. We search the stars for intelligent life, but some of the greatest intelligence and madness is found in the networks we built ourselves. In 2012, the internet encountered a puzzle that has yet to be fully solved, Cicada 3301. It began with a simple message on 4chan. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. What followed was a scavenger hunt that spanned the digital and physical worlds, from hidden messages in spectrum analyzers to QR codes taped to telephone poles in Poland, Spain, and Australia. The puzzles required knowledge of cryptography, steganography, and obscure literature. The group claimed they were recruiting. But recruiting for what? A think tank? A cyber mercenary group? A cult? The few who claimed to have won vanished into the dark web, leaving the rest of the world wondering if they had passed a test or walked into a trap. For some, the internet is not a game. It is a gateway to the next life. In 1997, 39 members of the Heaven's Gate cult took their own lives in a mansion in San Diego. They believed they were shedding their earthly containers to board an alien spacecraft trailing the Hale-Bopp comet. But the most haunting part of their legacy is digital. Their website is still online today. It hasn't changed since the 90s, a frozen, pixelated time capsule of their final days. But someone is paying the hosting bills. In 2015, investigators received email replies from the site administrators, identifying themselves as Telach, the evolutionary level above human. The bodies were found decades ago, but the voice of the cult is still alive, waiting in your inbox. While Heaven's Gate sought to leave Earth, a user known as Chip Chan seems trapped in a digital prison. Since 2008, a webcam feed has broadcast the life of a Korean woman who spends nearly all her time sleeping in bizarre positions in a cluttered apartment. She claims through handwritten signs and frantic blog posts that she is the victim of a mind control weapon implanted in her ankle by a corrupt officer she calls P. She says she sleeps for 20 hours a day because the weapon forces her to. Is this a severe case of untreated mental illness broadcast for the world's entertainment? Or is it an elaborate performance art piece? Viewers have watched her for over a decade. helpless voyeurs to a slow-motion tragedy that no one can stop. And then there are the secrets hidden in the code of the mundane. In 2013, a fan-made RPG called Kanye Quest 3030 was released. On the surface, it was a silly, hip-hop-themed battle game. But players discovered that if you typed the word ascend into a dialogue box, the game transformed. The hip-hop aesthetics vanished, replaced by a disturbing sublayer related to ascensionism. Players were asked to enter personal information and agree to interact with the group in real life. The game wasn't just a game. It appeared to be a recruitment tool for a belief system hidden inside a meme. The lines between parody, cult, and reality blurred, proving that on the internet, you never truly know who designed the game you're playing, or if the game is playing you. If dark energy is the mysterious force actively pushing the universe apart, there is a counterforce holding it together, a force that is equally invisible, equally pervasive, and infinitely more puzzling. We call it dark matter. To understand why this matters, we have to look back to a crisis in physics that began in the 1960s and 70s. Astronomer Vera Rubin was conducting a study on the rotation of spiral galaxies. The laws of Newtonian physics are clear. In a spinning system, objects further from the center should move slower than those close to the center. Mercury orbits the Sun faster than Pluto. It is the basic logic of gravity. Rubin expected to see the stars on the outskirts of galaxies drifting lazily compared to the frenetic energy of the galactic core. But that is not what she found. Rubin discovered the impossible. The stars at the extreme edges were moving just as fast, sometimes faster, than the stars in the middle. By all known laws of physics, these galaxies should have flown apart. They didn't have enough visible mass to generate the gravity needed to hold onto those high-speed outer stars. It was as if a carousel was spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, but the riders weren't being thrown off. Rubin realized that what we see, the stars, the gas, the dust, is not enough. There had to be something else, a ghost mass, an invisible scaffolding that permeates the galaxy, providing the extra gravity required to keep the structure intact. This is dark matter. It is not rare. It is the dominant form of matter in existence. It makes up approximately 27% of the universe. It does not emit light. It does not reflect light. It does not interact with electromagnetic fields. We cannot touch it, and we cannot bottle it. We only know it is there because of its shadow, the gravitational influence it exerts on the things we can see. When you do the math, normal matter, the protons and neutrons that make up you, me, the Earth, the Sun, and every star in the night sky, accounts for less than 5% of the universe. This is a humbling realization. We are not the standard, we are the anomaly. We are merely the glowing foam floating on top of a deep, dark ocean that we cannot see, taste, or understand. We are living in a universe where the majority of reality is ghost stuff, passing right through us at this very moment. But while dark matter is a silent giant, the visible universe is capable of acts of violence that defy description. Deep within the Andromeda Galaxy, our closest major neighbor, astronomers have found a cluster of stars behaving erratically, a wonky, strangely shaped formation that has stumped researchers for decades. The answer to this mystery, however, is far more disturbing than the anomaly itself. It points to a phenomenon known as galactic recoil. We know that galaxies grow by feeding. They are cosmic cannibals. They collide, strip each other of gas, and eventually merge. At the center of these galaxies sit supermassive black holes, monsters with the mass of billions of suns. When two galaxies collide, their black holes do not simply fuse instantly. They spiral inward, dancing a gravitational waltz that can last for millions of years. But this merger is not always smooth. Recent simulations suggest that the collision of two supermassive black holes can release a blast of gravitational waves so powerful that it acts like the recoil of a shotgun. This isn't just a bump, it is a cataclysmic kick. This force is strong enough to launch the newly formed black hole out of the center of the galaxy entirely. We are talking about an object millions of times heavier than our sun, being launched through space at millions of miles per hour. This recoil disrupts the orbits of millions of stars, leaving behind the scarred, stretched-out clusters we see in Andromeda. But the implication is terrifying. It suggests that out there in the intergalactic void, between the safe harbors of the galaxies, there are rogue, supermassive black holes. They are invisible, they are homeless, and they are tearing through the dark at hypervelocity. If one were to pass through a solar system, it wouldn't just consume worlds. It would unravel the gravitational fabric of the system itself. Violent collisions are one way a galaxy changes, but there is a quieter, sadder fate awaiting them. We tend to think of the universe as a factory that will produce stars forever. But recent discoveries have revealed the existence of zombie galaxies. Using the Hubble Space Telescope and the ALMA array in northern Chile, NASA identified 6 massive galaxies from the early universe, just 3 billion years after the Big Bang, that were already dead. They had simply stopped functioning. A living galaxy is rich in cold hydrogen gas, the fuel required to birth new stars. These galaxies shine blue and white with the heat of creation. But these 6 galaxies were red and dead. They had run out of fuel. They were running on empty. At a time when the universe should have been in its most prolific era of star production. Why did they die so young? It is a galactic cold case. One theory, proposed by astronomer Kate Whitaker, suggests that the supermassive black hole at the galactic center essentially turned on, heating up the surrounding gas so intensely that it could no longer collapse to form stars. Another theory suggests the gas was expelled entirely, blown out into the void by quasar winds, leaving the galaxy to starve. Whatever the cause, these galaxies are cosmic fossils, massive, silent cities of stars that burned out long before Earth was even born. They are drifting through the void, slowly fading away as their remaining stars die off, one by one, with no new generation to replace them. But if there are things pushing galaxies apart and things killing them from the inside, there is also something pulling us, something massive. This is the mystery of the Great Attractor. We like to think we are the center of our own story, but in the grand scale of the cosmos, our entire Milky Way galaxy is moving. It is being dragged. We are hurtling through space at 1.3 million miles per hour towards a specific point in the Centaurus constellation. Everything in our local group of galaxies is being pulled towards this anomaly. The gravitational force required to pull a galaxy like ours is unfathomable. It would require the mass of a quadrillion suns. But here is the problem. When we point our telescopes in that direction, we see nothing. Or rather, we can't see what is there because it lies in the zone of avoidance, a region of the sky obscured by the dense dust and gas of our own Milky Way. We are blocked by our own galaxy from seeing the monster that is reeling us in. Scientists speculate it is a massive supercluster of galaxies, a wall of matter so dense it bends the flow of the universe around it. But until we can peer through the dust, we are simply passengers on a runaway train, rushing towards a destination we cannot see. And where there is mass, there is also emptiness. If the Great Attractor is a mountain, then the Bootes void is the abyss. Often called the Great Nothing, the Bootes void is a sphere of space roughly 330 million light-years in diameter. In a region this size, there should be thousands of galaxies. In the Bootes void, we have found fewer than 60. It is a desert in the middle of the ocean. If the Milky Way were in the center of the Bootes void, we wouldn't have known other galaxies existed until the 1960s. The sky would be pitch black beyond our own stars. It is so empty that scientists are baffled as to how it formed. Some theories suggest it is a super-void formed by the merging of smaller voids, clearing out space like a growing bubble. It is a reminder that the universe is not uniform. It is patchy, broken, and filled with holes where nothing, absolutely nothing, exists. This leads us to the final, crushing realization: the sheer scale of the universe and its ultimate fate. When we look up, we see our sun, our planets, and a sky full of stars. We know the Milky Way contains up to 400 billion stars, but that is just our local neighborhood. In the observable universe, the bubble of space from which light has had enough time to reach us, there are an estimated 150 billion to 2 trillion other galaxies. But note the word observable. That limit is not the edge of the universe, it is just the edge of our vision. It is the horizon. Beyond that, the universe likely continues. Some theories suggest the true size of the universe is at least 250 times larger than what we can see. Others suggest it is infinite. If the universe is infinite, then the possibilities are not just vast, they are repetitive. In an infinite space, with a finite number of ways particles can be arranged, eventually patterns must repeat. Somewhere, far beyond the reach of our telescopes, there could be another Milky Way, another Earth, and another you asking these same questions. But how does it end? This is the ultimate question of the strategist. What is the endgame? There are three prevailing theories, and none of them are comforting. First, there is the big freeze. If dark energy continues to push the universe apart, eventually galaxies will move so far away from each other that they will disappear from view. New stars will stop forming. Old stars will burn out. The universe will become a cold, dark graveyard of black holes and dead rocks, drifting forever in absolute zero. Second, there is the big crunch. If gravity eventually wins, the expansion will reverse. The universe will contract, pulling everything back together. Galaxies will collide, temperatures will skyrocket, and all of existence will be crushed back into a singularity, a reverse Big Bang. But the most terrifying theory is the Big Rip. If dark energy grows stronger over time, it won't just push galaxies apart. It will overcome gravity on a local scale. It will tear solar systems apart. Then it will tear planets apart. Then, in the final moments, it will rip atoms themselves apart. The fabric of space-time will shred, leaving nothing but subatomic particles unable to interact. We are standing on a small rock, circling a mediocre star, trying to decipher a code that was written billions of years before we arrived. We have cracked some of the ciphers, the rotation of galaxies, the birth of the moon, the existence of the Great Attractor, but the biggest files remain encrypted. The silent archive of the universe is open, but we are only just beginning to learn how to read it. Until then, we watch, we listen, and we wait for the next signal.